watercolor carving. It's not really a thing. However, the painting that I want to do today, we're going to be kind of carving from the background we paint rather than actually painting it. Grab your watercolors and give them a good spritz. And this painting is both a continuation on our conversation about lifting watercolor as well as a major throwback. I was doing some reminiscing recently where I did this exact thing, and it's a really fun way to use lifting in a kind of non-traditional but very fun way. We're just gonna grab a bunch of different blues and teals, and we're going to fill up the entire thing with fairly saturated colors, but they don't have to be the absolute most saturated because we're going to be doing this in multiple layers, and so we're going to have an opportunity to make it darker with every single layer. And then we need to let it dry or make it dry. And then once it's dry, make sure your pinks, purples, and reds are nice and wet because we're going to go over this entire thing with those colors. And these combination of colors in some areas are going to make some kind of funny looking colors. Don't worry too much about that because we are doing one more layer to help even things out. But having this kind of pinky undertone does seem to help the final result. So I do recommend adding this in, even though this looks a little bit scary. You probably guessed it, but it's time to let it dry or make it dry. And then once that layer is dry, I'm going to repeat those first colors we used, those blues and those teals, and it's going to kind of bring it back around to that nice dark blue color. Then once again, it's time to let it dry or make it dry. And once it's dry, we've technically completed the painting portion of this, but we have not yet revealed the subject. This super dark background is meant to be the very dark ocean. From this, we're going to be carving out our subject. So for this, you're going to want kind of a sturdy brush. I wouldn't use something that's way too floppy. If you don't have a round brush with sturdier bristles, you could even use something like an angle brush, or a flat brush would work great for this. But we want to make sure it's nice and clean and a little bit damp. And then we're going to be placing some water down strategically on this paper, letting it sit for a bit. We're going to be lifting it up, tapping our brush to dry it, and grabbing more of that. And it's actually going to lift out some of that color. These little jellyfish creatures emerge from the background. And we're making a little cap that goes out a bit on the top. I also like to hint into the outer rim that would be falling towards the back. And then for the middle part of the jellyfish, I want to add in some of that kind of fluffy stuff and some of its very long, thin tentacles. And during the lifting process, you can kind of see why I liked adding in those pink type colors, because since that color stains the page a little bit, as we lift out through those, we get some really beautiful purples and pinks. I highly recommend trying something like this where you use your supplies in a way that you wouldn't normally use them, because you learn all sorts of things about the paint. Plus, there's something about this technique with the jellyfish that's just perfect. It's like you can see them luminescing just ever so slightly in the deep ocean water.